Before we begin, I would like to advertise my books, Above Heaven and Dance of Frozen Death. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider giving them a read. Links in the description. Now, on with the video.
Oh, we just fell down. We should cry.
Greetings, fellow mortals. I first took notice of Demon Slayer not long after the anime finish. A friend sent me a clip of Tanjiro fighting Ryu. In the final moments of that conflict, the music swelled. Fire burst from Tanjiro's sword as he cut through webs. Meanwhile, a girl caught in the strings helped him finish the battle by empowering his broken sword with an explosion. The whole time I watched with wide eyes. What was this thing? Why had I never heard about it before? Where could I watch it so that I could know the full context of this scene? Without that clip, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the series so quickly. Unfortunately, I am not that much of an early adapter. The only real exception was with One Punch Man. I was reading that as soon as the original comic had English translations by fans, so I wouldn't have probably started watching Demon Slayer until the movie came out or even season 2. Of course, people were going nuts for it at the time, enough so that the sales for the manga were insane. It's almost like good and faithful adaptations benefit everyone involved. It's a lesson that I think American entertainment needs to relearn, because after Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, it's been lost for some forsaken reason. Since the first season ended, I have read the entire manga and watched every episode that's come out after it. Side note, I think that the epilogue chapter was kind of meh, but what are you gonna do? I'm not the biggest fan in the world. I do recognize that Demon Slayer has its flaws. For one thing, events just kind of happen at random sometimes. Generally speaking, stories are more cohesive when the results of the previous arc result in what happens next. Demon Slayer's biggest problem is the overall issue of a non-connecting narrative. These events happen, Tanjiro goes somewhere else. Now these events happen, Tanjiro goes somewhere else, so on and so forth. It's a narrative held together by conveniences, and generally I don't mind if conveniences get characters into trouble, but oftentimes it gets them out of trouble as well. While the scene that I described earlier was amazing to watch, it's hard not to describe it as a Deus Ex Machina in many ways when you know the full context of the situation. Of course, it does help that Tanjiro still didn't technically win that battle, but the point still stands. I would definitely say that connecting events, plot twists, and arcs in a way that makes sense is the author's main weakness, but not everyone can be good at everything.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
The overall strengths of Demon Slayer greatly overshadows the weaknesses though. If there's one thing Koyoharu Gotoge can do better than most other creators, it's bring emotion to a scene, whether it be the protagonist or the antagonist. She's able to create excellent backstories that tug at your heartstrings, explaining exactly why these people are the way that they are. It becomes a trope as the series goes on. As a demon dies, we view their tragic downfall, adding more context and weight to the conflict. It increases our investment, taking a good battle and making it into something more. And while many of the villains are shown to be people with bad luck, their actions once becoming a demon are never excused. Killing someone is unforgivable. As such, the demons have to be slain. That is a moral that is never questioned by anyone. Even Tanjiro accepts that fact. He knows this despite showing compassion to his foes in their dying moments. And those are just the villains. Almost all of the Demon Slayers are very memorable. They're quirky and fun. Personality oozes off of them. It doesn't take long for viewers to care about them and their reasons for joining the Demon Slayers to begin with. Granted, I'm sure that every fan will be annoyed by one or two characters, but the amount of variety in the Hashira guarantees that you'll care about them and Tanjiro's peers. It's the Bleach effect. There are so many personalities that you're bound to end up attached to at least someone. And boy, are a lot of fans going to be mad when the next season comes along, because a lot of these characters start dropping off like flies in the final battle. I'll tell you what, this lady has got some guts. Not even I'm that kill happy when it comes to my characters. She built them all up just to knock them down. While all of the side characters are fantastic, I think that the heart of the matter is what anchors the series. Spoilers for the first episode, by the way. Demon Slayer starts out with Tanjiro helping take care of his family in the mountains. His father is deceased. As such, the widowed mother has to take care of the 6 children who remain. Holy cow, for a dying man, Tanjiro's father had a lot of energy to burn, huh? Anyway, Tanjiro leaves his home to sell charcoal and provide for his 5 brothers and sisters. When he returns, he finds almost all of them dead. They were murdered by a demon. The only exception is Nezuko, who had been turned into a demon herself. Confronted by a member of the Demon Slayers, Tanjiro swears to prevent Nezuko from killing or eating anyone like the other monsters. To do this, Tanjiro trains with a sword, joins the corpse, and travels the country looking for a way to turn his sister back into a human. The author definitely went for pure tragedy with this beginning. None of Tanjiro's family were given much personality or time on screen at all. This was a pure numbers game way to get the audience to care about what was happening. We know very little about Tanjiro's family or who they are. Quantity over quality. It was a rapid start to get the story moving at a breakneck speed. Basically the opposite of Thor's from Vinland Saga. You know, just because I have to bring that series up all the time now because I love it so much.
Hello? I love you.
I cannot tell you who Tanjiro's family actually was at all. I'd have to look up how many boys and girls there actually even were. I view this as the Harry Potter effect, the way to make you care about a character by showing them go through intense suffering, or at least hint at it. After all, Harry Potter was orphaned, then physically, mentally, and emotionally abused by his relatives. If that doesn't make you at least empathetic, nothing will. In Demon Slayer, the focus isn't on the deceased for long. Instead of dwelling on what is lost, Tanjiro turns his attention on what remains. His and Nezuko's bond are the glue that holds the series together. Without their dynamic and familiar love, the story might very well fall apart. While unable to speak, Nezuko demonstrates a lot of personality in every scene that she's in. She honors Tanjiro's efforts by fighting against her demon instincts. While tempted by blood and human flesh, she never once hurts a human. All the while, her little sister antics bring some levity to tense situations. Tanjiro's friends are also fun to watch. Zenitsu's cowardly nature makes him the straight man in a lot of situations, reminding us how insane everyone actually is, including Nosuke, whose wild personality and feminine appearance are hilarious to me. I can see why the shirtless guy trying to put on a tough image would wear a boar mask.
Sue me, I'm colorful. Doesn't mean I belong in here making potholders with the wackos.
But I think the best character is Tanjiro himself. He's definitely more of a static protagonist. Besides getting stronger and more skilled at the blade, he doesn't have much development to go through. Tanjiro is the type of character who changes the world around him instead of developing himself. From Nezuko to the Hashira, he changes people and inspires them to be better. The best word to describe Tanjiro is kind. Compassion oozes out of his pores. At the same time, he's not afraid to call out people when they do immoral things. His empathy for the demons more revolves around the understanding that any member of his family or even himself could have ended up in the same position as the demons, having to choose between starvation and hurting people. A common criticism I've heard is that he cries too much, but he's not crying because he stubbed his toe. People are suffering and dying around him. His entire family is dead. His entire life is one battle after the next. He sees his little sister in the faces of everyone that he kills. I think a few tears are warranted. I mean, at least he's affected by the world around him, but I think he's a breath of fresh air, and his good-naturedness and naivety even out the fact that he's eventually beloved by everyone. Tanjiro is supposed to be the definition of a moral good person, and with a pure, evil, irredeemable main villain like Muzan, Tanjiro's personality is needed.
I've only had Arlo for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
In this rare case, this might be one of the few scenarios where I actually prefer the anime over the manga. The flashiness of the fights help bring the conflicts to life. Plus, that music. My god. Do I love the soundtrack to this series. I prefer the anime for the music alone. It definitely adds to the situations. Unfortunately, the dialogue around Demon Slayer seems to become a little bit toxic, but that doesn't make it special. Every fandom is equally toxic. No, yours is not especially bad. I've dipped my toe into a lot of them. They all need to go touch some grass. I wouldn't say that Demon Slayer is the best anime I've ever seen. At the same time, I think it does deserve its popularity. This is a simple story about good and evil, about human suffering. It's not overly complicated. It's fast-paced, it has good art, memorable characters, and a plot that gets the job done. The emotions behind the events are what carries the series forward. There's a reason that people like Demon Slayer. It makes them feel, they care about what's going on. Could there be improvements to the story? Yeah. I just mentioned how little I know about Tanjiro's family and how events just seem to happen randomly. But this is a fun narrative to watch. It's pure enjoyment from a woman who knew what story she wanted to tell. Being overly critical feels mean-spirited. This is very much a roller coaster ride, full of emotions, twists, turns, and heart-stopping drops. Let the author cook and enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and to keep the dialogue going in the comment section. And please consider giving my books, Above Heaven, Dance of Frozen Death, and Vows of Blood and Honor, which will be released in September, a chance. I appreciate you. Do not despair.